Hi, it's Annie. I've got an excerpt from my series, Working with Aligning Your Head and Working with the Moon. And we're working with a rock to simulate the moon, actually. And this is very helpful for getting your head in the center. But this particular lesson today works with opening your shoulders. It's really great if you've had any kind of neck injury, whiplash, shoulder injury. This is very healing lesson. It's very gentle. You're going to need a rock, and if you don't have a rock, a really small weight, less than a pound, would be okay. All right, so something small like a potato or something. All right, and so now let's go ahead and head to the floor, and we're going to do the lesson. Okay, so let's bend your knees. And have your rock handy here. Let's rub your hands again just to get oriented here. Breathing in. And just stroke your face for a moment. And we're going to be working both lying on your back and side lying today. Take a hold of your rock with your right hand. And we're going to roll onto your right side. And please note, if your neck is stiff or sore, please put a folded towel under your head at this point, so that that right hand is holding the rock toward the ceiling. Keep kind of the natural position. The back of your hand is on the floor. Yeah. Knees are mostly on top of one another. Yeah. And then you're going to take your other hand on your wrist of the rock hand. So your left hand is holding the wrist. All right, now begin to slide the rock, and you can use that top hand to push outward so that not only you're sliding the rock out, but you'll slide it up a little bit in the direction of your head on the floor. Now, that may be feeling like there's a lot of friction there with your arm and so forth, but just see if you can use the top hand to help push and guide the rock up. Yeah. And here is where your head is interesting. So take your head, and you might have to lift it a little bit to come over the bottom arm. Yeah. So that you can roll it down toward the floor, and then maybe back behind the arm, and then take the arm down. So there's this relationship between your head and the rock. Yeah. Okay. The rock is like our little moon that we're playing with here. And then the rock is making an orbit. It's sliding on the floor. And as you slide upward, I want you to bring your head toward the rock a little bit, just so that it's easy to continue to slide a little bit and then come back. So we're not going to make a huge movement here, but just to play a little bit with these two things, with your head and the rock. And it's sort of hard to know what to do with your head here. Is it easier to leave it behind your shoulder and just kind of slide the rock up? Or is it easier if I roll my face toward the floor as the rock comes up? Yeah. What to do with your head? All right. And then please lie on your back. All right. I don't usually do this, but I'm giving you a little, not exactly problem, but something to work with there. It's like, what are your choices if you have to slide this rock up? Yeah. So lie on your back without the rock, just rest for a moment. All right. And now let's bend your knees. And you're going to need some space over your head. So I don't have a ton of room here, so I'm having to scoot down. So I have the room. If I were to stretch my arms overhead. I've got plenty of space above me. All right. Now take the rock with your right hand. Your left hand is holding the wrist of the right hand. And now bend your elbows and bring the rock so it's right near your face and go up above your head. So the rock is on the floor above you, right above your head. You don't have to go really far here. I don't want you to strain your shoulders. So keep your elbows bent right now. But you see how the left hand is holding the wrist, so you can move together the two arms, and the rock is again sliding on the back of your right hand. But let's go to the right with it starting overhead. Elbows are bent, and now sliding the rock overhead to your right. Yeah. And then coming back. And as you do that, notice what your knees do. Notice what your pelvis does. It's all right to let your knees tilt. It's okay to do that. And use your left hand to assist. Let your elbows bend right now, so that it's very easy in your shoulders. And then as you start to come partly onto your right side, you can reach a little further out with the rock to straighten your arms and reach down toward the knees a little bit, and then come back with the rock, guiding it with that left hand over your head a little bit. Again, not extreme, just very relaxed, sliding from above your head and then out in front of you. Okay, let's rest on your back again. Just let go of the rock, rest on your back. You can have your legs long or bent. So the alignment of our head, it's in relation to the rest of the body. If I work only with my head without feeling the rest of my body, I don't know where my head is. Yeah. So this whole series, we're kind of using this idea of the moon as a body to reflect where we are in the world. And without the moon, we wouldn't have seasons. Our time structure would be different. It would be difficult to know what day it is because we use the moon as our calendar. And it not only is our calendar, but it affects all kinds of inner rhythms in our bodies. It's quite remarkable that we can use something on the outside to regulate the inside. And this is where tuning into nature is such a joy, because you'll be able to ride the events in life a little easier, knowing, oh, the tide is high right now, the tide is low, the moon is full, and so forth. Now let's bend your knees and take your rock again. And let's start with the right hand, and your left hand is holding the wrist of the right hand. All right. And so we went to the right. Now let's start going to the left. All right. And as we slide to the left, you can flip over so that the rock is now face down. Yeah. So that the palm is down toward the ground with the rock underneath the palm. Yeah. So you're sliding the rock now. And then as you come back toward your head, you flip so you're on the back of your hand, so that you use your left hand to help guide that movement for the rock to face the floor now. Just gonna move a little so my rock doesn't slide on the wood. So yeah, and how do you breathe? How do your knees move? How relaxed can you be to feel the back of your head as you're making this orbit with your rock? Yeah. And don't go too far down with your orbit at this moment. Just stay so that it's going toward your knees, but wherever is comfortable, and then coming back. All right. So going to the left with your rock. And then let's come, as you come overhead, let's continue and go across to the right now. And sliding along the right. So we're going to go from right to left now. And let your legs move with this movement. Very simple process, but there's a lot to feel, especially if you do the least amount of effort. Can you let yourself follow the rock? Let your body connect to the floor. Can your breathing be gentle and easy? And kind of having as much contact as possible with your head, your shoulders, as you're going from side to side, and guiding with that left hand. All right, and then let's rest. Lengthen your legs if you like. Let go of the rock. And feeling, it's interesting, all that movement. Can you feel the effects of it? It's fascinating. Roll your head now and feel the back of your head. So that can kind of orient you back to the center again here. That's it. And then rest. And let things settle. So there's often lots of movement around us, a lot of activity around us, and the ability to stay centered, to find where you are and what you feel. It's sometimes challenging. We get swept up watching the rock, orbit around us or whatever, and then let's roll your head again. Feel where you are now in the center. Yeah, that's it. So you find your center. And this is where our head alignment can be very helpful. All right, now let's go ahead and we're going to hold the rock with the left hand now. I'm just flipping around for the camera, but you don't need to do that. All right, and then take your, start on your left side with the right hand on the wrist. All right, make sure you got some room a little bit so you can slide the rock in front of you as you're on your side and really relax if you can. Now, if this is uncomfortable with your head, I should have said this earlier, you can put a towel under your head if it's too much stretch for your neck, okay? As you're sliding, guide with the right hand now, the rock with the left, so that there's this connection, right, between the two hands and the rock. So it's funny how different the two sides are. See if you can start to notice, what is your head doing here? And you can roll your head forward as it gets higher. You can move your head so it goes over your arm, and just roll your head over your arm and back, and then come down with the rock again, so that there's a feeling of when your head comes onto your arm, and then play with rolling your head down toward the floor a little bit and rolling it behind the arm when the arm is up above you. And then coming forward again with the rock. All right, so feeling this connection. And there's a certain point, there's a lot of friction to move the rock any higher because of the weight of your head. Yeah. So roll your head forward and back over that shoulder. Okay. And then let's please rest on your back. Lengthen your legs. And roll your head a little bit side to side. So it's very gentle. It does not need to be extreme in these movements. So don't worry if you don't go very high or very far. That's not the point. The point is actually to slowly relax so that more of your head can connect with the floor, that the shoulders can start to have a little more freedom. Let's bend your knees now. Again, make sure there's room over your head, and take the rock with the left hand. The right hand is holding the wrist of the left hand. Bend your elbows so that you can touch the rock or the back of your left hand on the floor. And now begin to slide the rock to the left. Yeah. So the back of your hand and the rock goes to the left and then over your head. And as you do that, your eyes can look, you can look with your head if you like, but just easy with your legs so they can tilt, the knees can tilt, your knees are bent. And breathing and really resting the back of your head onto the floor. Let your head roll with the rock. Yeah. And then let's rest again. Put the rock down. You can lengthen your legs. Let's roll your head. Now, this lesson, I feel like we're just beginning. There's so much more we can do with this particular lesson, but I feel like really getting this part clear. You can play a little bit with this just to really get this connection clear. All right, and then let's bend your knees again. Take the rock in the left hand, hold the left wrist with the right hand, bend your elbows so that the rock comes down to the floor. And now let's go to the right and slide so that the rock now faces down toward the floor as you go to the right. And you can tilt your knees. Yeah. And then coming back. All right, so sliding to the right, guiding that movement with your right arm, and let your head rest on the floor, rolling as you slide the rock. And this is an interesting orbit because the rock gets further from your head than it does when it comes up behind your head. Yeah. Now, as you repeat this lesson, you can play with lengthening your arms a little more over your head, but don't do that for quite a while. Wait until it's so relaxing that you can just naturally lengthen more. But for now, let your elbows be bent as they're coming toward your head so that there's no strain at all. Yeah, we want this feeling of almost like water, just flowing feeling the weight. It's orbiting around. Your head is relaxed. Now let's go to the left side. So we're going to go side to side. So you'll be on the back of your hand as you're going to the left. And then as you come around to the right, the rock flips over so that the palm is facing down. Just enjoying this sweeping motion and letting that back of your hand roll back onto the back whenever that feels right for you. All right, and then let's rest on your back. And just feel the contact now and roll the back of your head a little bit. You can lengthen your legs, roll your head a little side to side. Okay, and then rest for a moment. And maybe take one foot, so you roll around one heel with one foot and then do that with the other foot too, so that the back of your head can feel the backs of your heels. It's kind of a fun little game to roll one foot to feel both the back of your head and the back of your heel at the same time. All right, leave it, rest. Feel the contact now. One more time, roll the back of your head. And then we're going to roll to your side to come on up slowly. Get up and walk around and sense the difference. Maybe put one hand flat on your head and see, how does your head feel now? Thank you so much for joining me here. This lesson does continue in my Patreon site, but for now, this is a great way to finish and write comments in the video. And thank you so much for subscribing, and all of you who are supporting me through Patreon or through donations on my website. Thank you, thank you, thank you. See you next time. Take care.